Hello again. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to solve the TJCTF problem mirror mirror, where they give us a port to netcat into and no binary of any kind. So if we just go ahead and netcat into the port they give us, it looks like we're looking at a Python interpreter. They give us a message telling us that there's this get flag function and that we should wrap our input in double quotes when we call the function. So first thing I did in this interpreter was just do a call to globals to see what functions are global, and we can see only some basic built-in stuff and then the get flag function they told us exists. So if we go ahead and call get flag with an argument, say asdiff, and see what happens, it tells us that A is an invalid character. So that leads me to believe maybe alphabetical characters won't be valid, so I just threw it as special character, exclamation point, and then I got this error. And in the error we can see it's taking our input, trying to pass it to eval, and then see if it's equal to super secret string. It would have been cool if we could just access this variable directly, but we can't make a call to vars. We don't know if it is a global variable. We could try to access it real quick, but it's filtering our input for those words, so that's not allowed. And it was at this point I realized I was going to have to go back to the problem description to figure out what to do from here. So going back to the description, they tell us if you look closely you can see a reflection. And after a while, this got me thinking about reflection in Java, which I had used back Minecraft modding, where you have objects, but you have no idea what the parameters were on them. So you use special reflection-based methods in Java to find out what attributes they could possibly have. So I just Googled reflection in Python and found this Geeks for Geeks article telling me about a couple methods that we could use, including dir, which returns a list of valid attributes of the object, and things like getAttribute, callable, but dir is the one that really finds itself useful here. So what I did was just call dir on the getFlag function to see about its interesting attributes. And after a while, what stood out to me was this funcCode attribute. So maybe I could leak the code for the entire function that way. Turns out that's not really what was in that attribute, or at least what I could access in that attribute. But when I called dir on that attribute, I found another interesting attribute nested in there called co_constants. So you have to imagine that super secret string should probably be some kind of constant in that function. And now, if I just access that attribute directly, it gives me this list of all these constants in the function. And we see this is the super secret string. But also some numbers which seem to define ranges of normal ASCII characters, so like 65 to about 90, that's probably capital letters, and 97 to 122 is probably like lowercase letters. So these types of things aren't allowed. They are allowing %xcb, which will be useful down the other end. And then there's another string for saying that we didn't guess the value correctly. So at this point, we realize we have restricted characters, and we need to evaluate to the super secret string here. Now, I remembered an article from PodCTF Python jail escape where this person developed basically brainfuck in Python, which he's using special characters like curly braces and chevrons and tildes to evaluate to the binary value for an ASCII character, and then he's able to convert it to a character, and he uses this %/xcb because it's an invisible character that allows him to get %c that he needs to have this evaluate to a character. And then he goes on to eventually write a function that will generate this code to evaluate to a string of those characters. But what he does is use commas and builds arrays in order to create the string. Now, in their code, it turns out that the comma is a restricted character, so we can't use that. But we can use a plus. So we're just going to be building a string by concatenation from his code, which generates arbitrary characters. So I just wrote this simple Python script. I modified his brainfuckeyes.py. So the secret is this is the super secret string. then I'm just joining an array of all those characters with a plus and a space. So it's just going to concat a string from those characters and build up, this is the super secret string. So I just took this file, and I didn't write any fancy scripts. I just ran it and copied and pasted the output. Ran it, and you can see it's building the string out of these results of the brainfuckeyes function, which creates the characters. And we're going to take that netcat back into the port and call getFlag with that value in double quotes, and we can see the result is the flag that we were looking for. Well, that's about it for this video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that button. You didn't, that one's there too. Consider subscribing for more CTF write-ups and cool projects. See ya.